TikTok has been the platform to not only start but also end some of the most popular trends over the last couple of years. Labubu hauls, strawberry dresses, strawberry cows, e-girl makeup, split hair dye, kidcore, cutecore, juicy couture, Stanley Cups, P. Louise, and even gaming PCs. What started out as a fairly innocuous, kinda dumb dancing and lip-syncing app has suddenly become an absolute titan in influencer marketing. The old guard of YouTube beauty influencers have since long gone left the space, and instead they have been replaced by the Michaelas of the TikTok world. And thanks to this application, anyone can have their 15 minutes of virality. They can become known as the pistachio croissant girl, or they can be even known as the feel like Naruto girl. What is she up to? I think does a lot of dancing videos with gravity testing. I think that's kind of what she does. I think that's what she does now. People are really mean to her for no reason, I fear, actually. The average person can go from a 200 view video to suddenly becoming a niche micro internet celebrity, all after one successful video just taking off on the platform. I mean, let's be honest, most of the new wave of YouTubers, myself included, have all migrated over from TikTok. People only really knew who I was because of my chip fork eyeliner and my big gob. So more and more recently, I have been doing a lot more traveling to go to conventions to meet you guys, and also to touch some grass as and when I can manage that. Well, one thing for sure that I know is green, and also a great way to burn off some time if you're bumming around an airport or even just cramped on public transport, is today's video sponsor, Cash Giraffe. Cash Giraffe is an app for iOS and Android that allows you to earn some extra cash just by playing popular games and applications from the comfort of your phone. All you've got to do is download it, make an account, and you're ready to go. Cash Giraffe will track your progress as you play popular games and will allow you to rack up gems that can be withdrawn in a multitude of different ways, including PayPal, Amazon, and even an Aldi gift card, which can be used straight towards your weekly grocery shop, or even just a sweet treat because you've been working so hard. Because you've been doing so well, sweetie. Whilst traveling around, I've played a couple different games and I've managed to already rack up about 20,000 gems just by using my free time as I'm sitting around doing niche. And I'm not gonna lie, the Aldi custard brioche is calling to me. I want that brioche so bad. I haven't had it in so long. I want that brioche so bad. It's calling to me, calling my name. With bonus events allowing you extra ways to earn double the amount of gems and over $10 million rewarded to players yearly, there's honestly no better excuse than when you're on a long commute or you're trying to wind down from doom scrolling for the evening than to hop on Cash Giraffe and discover some new games that you just might enjoy playing anyway, and earning extra cash whilst doing it. And with their low threshold for payouts, you won't be kept waiting when it comes to cashing out your gems. With no ads, no fees, and no card information required, plus a 4.6 rating on both the Apple and Google store, you can rest easy. So consider joining Cash Giraffe using my link down below and receive 3,999 gems on me, taking you one step closer to cashing out and giving you a head start. Once again, I want to give a big thank you to Cash Giraffe for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to talking about some terrible tourism. And I think it's fairly easy to agree that TikTok has been both a positive and a negative force overall. On one hand, it does encourage manufactured scarcity over consumerism and also a lot of Eurocentric beauty standards. I hate seeing stuff like the naturally alternative trend on TikTok. I hate seeing the whole debate about Shein can be punk. No, it can't. That's not how that works. A lot of things like that tend to happen on TikTok, and I will say TikTok comment sections are the most obnoxious places on earth. A lot of very loud, underage people with very, very, very loud opinions. And also, just to be clear, TikTok comment sections are actually hell. Like, they are hell. The fact that TikTok allows photos now is all well and good, but like, I have seen it consistently used for racism and fatphobia and AI, and I think that it should be something you can turn off as a creator, personally. But that's neither here nor there. But on the other hand, it has been a necessary outlet for a lot of creativity, DIY, and of course, people keeping others up to date when it comes to world news and events that otherwise might be suppressed or lesser broadcast. But one era I remember distinctly is 2020's Kawaii talk. An era of the pink PC setup, Asian snack food in that pink little cart, and of course, a weird amount of drama and discourse. A desire to be respectful in the cultural appreciation over appropriation sense inadvertently seemed to do more harm than good. But what happened to 2020's Kawaii talk? Where did it go? So as you very likely know because you lived through it, during lockdown everyone was stuck inside, bored out of their minds, desperately trying to find any kind of household DIY or creative projects to undertake. Many stores were struggling to keep up with the new demand for online shopping, meaning that digital shopping platforms such as AliExpress became a very quick, desirable option, offering everything from fashion to household accessories on the cheap for people who were struggling financially, as well as just having a huge variety for people to choose from, regardless of your style or aesthetic.
This is an art exhibit, but the art exhibit is just like 2020 bedroom and like the teenage experience. Holy shit. Okay. The belt, the messy shit. Fucking Karapika. Like, what the hell? You got the My Hero fucking notebook. This is insane.
And this weird limbo period on the internet and also just in our lives ended up allowing a lot of people to feel inspired and wanting to show off their work from home or PC setups, leading to a new genre of trend affectionately called Kawaii talk. And also, to be clear, e-girl, cosplay, and kawaii content did always exist on TikTok pre-2020. There were people who were already TikTok famous for these things far before lockdown. But the real and widely known surge in popularity is thanks to everybody being stuck inside. Early videos within the space would show off cute bedroom or desk setups, often decked out with Sanrio merchandise, anime figurines, and various collectibles. And all of this also kind of served as a backdrop for these semi-ASMR inspired kawaii snack and drink videos. Putting on a keyboard cover and proceeding to pour an ice-cold ramen into a sakura themed glass. And as well as the ASMR audio, the music over the top would often be this twinkly music box style theming, kind of leaning into the shoujo slice of life aesthetic. Popular creators such as Nintendo Girl, who by the way is so lovely in real life, she's an absolute gem, really made this hyper feminine and cute decor a viral sensation, to the point that many other creators, shit myself included, also began making similar content, either showing off their gaming PCs, showing off unboxings, or even just doing the cute snack videos. The era of the Sanrio Loungefly backpacks, the pink Razer peripheral PC setups, and of course the unforgettable Starbucks Sakura glass and matching coaster. From my personal perspective, as somebody who was on Kawaii Talk at the time, it felt like a not so subtle way of trying to romanticize what was a very scary and isolating situation, trying to make it feel a bit more like personal self-care as opposed to the only option that you've got. At the time that this was all happening, I was living in a very small one-bedroom flat that was riddled with mold, and so trends like this really did allow me to kind of have a form of digital escapism and lean into the things that I really did enjoy at a time that I really just wasn't very happy. So I can only imagine that for those who had their school or studies postponed, or just those who lost their social lives, this trend was also an escape from the outside stress and loneliness that they were feeling. Cams was right, everyone. You can fix your mental health with a Sanrio themed bath bomb and some twinkly music. We did it. We fixed it. Who can feel sad about the state of the world when you've got a cute matcha cup? Or what about some homemade onigiri? What about that? And equally, because of the newfound internet popularity of this trend, a lot of creators, big and small, also began to indulge and post about Harajuku fashion and kawaii fashion styles. Styles in Japanese subcultures such as Yami Kawaii, Yumi Kawaii, Joji Fuku, and EGL all began to get a lot of traction, with people also wanting to emulate that big, dolly-eyed kawaii look that a lot of Japanese makeup styles encourage. And again, this period of kind of Harajuku fashion, Western internet revival, as well as the makeup trends associated with them, also had a huge impact on kidcore and also e-girl makeup on TikTok at the time. Honestly, so much can be traced back to Harajuku and J-fashion inspiration, but it could be argued that this was the turning point and part of the eventual downfall for what we know as Kawaii talk, because past this stage, a lot of internet discourse began to occur. So one big thing that began to lead a lot of people to fall away from Kawaii talk was people online policing the language and terms used. More specifically, the now infamous line, "Kawaii is a slur." Yeah, that was a thing that happened. That was a real thing, and it became a huge problem. It was hell out there. It was hell.
It's hell in there. It's horror. You have to be a certain type of person to survive that.
Now, to give some context and some grace as to why some people online felt that the use of the term kawaii was in any way offensive, is largely due to how Asian communities were being treated during 2020, during the lockdown and pandemic. Due to the way that COVID-19 had been treated in Western media, framing it as these unhygienic Chinese people eating wild animals that they shouldn't be touching, a lot of people started to treat Asian communities of all types very negatively. A lot of Western countries, a lot of European countries were having a noticeable uptake when it came to violence and incidents towards Asian communities and Asian people. Verbal harassment, the vandalization of Asian-owned businesses, and even physical violence and intimidation. I even kind of witnessed this firsthand myself, because when I went to one of the local Asian grocers where I used to live, the guy there, who was a lovely older chap, completely harmless, very friendly, he ended up having like a rag held up to his nose with loads of blood card coming down because some random guy that he'd never seen before came in and socked him one and ran off. And it felt like very much a targeted attack, considering it was a very obvious Asian grocers. And from videos posted at the time, it felt like a lot of Asian people were having to relive a sense of childhood and lived trauma where people were mocking them for their heritage, mocking them for the way that their eyes looked. It was very much kind of reliving that very unpleasant but sadly all too common experience. And so, as you can probably imagine, seeing a lot of Japanese media and pop culture not only be popularized but also romanticized by a lot of Western and European creators during a time where Asian communities were being harassed and attacked did kind of feel justifiably in poor taste, did feel a bit tone deaf. I mean, hell, even now, more so than ever, we do romanticize stuff like katsu curry, matcha. Everywhere's doing matcha, by the way. Greg's does matcha, Starbucks does matcha, Costa does matcha. I feel like every possible coffee house on the planet now does matcha, most of the time really, really badly. But everywhere loves matcha. Matcha's now just the big thing, but hardly ever done properly. And obviously stuff just like K-beauty, J-beauty, trips to Korea for different plastic surgeries or skin procedures or color matching, as well as stuff just like Pop Mart and blind bags. And yet even now, a lot of people will still turn their nose up or act morally superior to the idea of eating cooked chicken feet or anything to do with actual cultural traditions or cultural dishes. For a lot of people, it seems like they like a lot of various East Asian cultures on their terms. And so generally it is speculated that due to this, and also just that desire to be culturally appreciative rather than appropriative, TikTok netizens began to put this rule in place, confidently stating that kawaii is not a term or word that you should be using if you are non-Japanese, and that kawaii and Harajuku fashion is not something that you should be wearing if you again aren't Japanese or at least Asian. Basically saying that engaging in anything to do with kawaii culture is part of the problem. Yeah, the logic is just not logicking, as you can probably tell. Now, we do not know who threw the first stone when it came to the standard. Part of me does suspect that it was likely just some well-intentioned teenager who saw what was going on in the world, was maybe seeing some videos coming out of Asian creators, Asian American creators, that was obviously talking about the way that Asian communities were being treated, and therefore they were thinking, oh, okay, I can be a good ally to the situations that they're currently dealing with by putting this rule in place for creators. And it took off just like TikTok comments do. When somebody puts something in the TikTok comments saying, this isn't the real Jim Carrey, this was Alexis Stone, all of that sort of stuff, like, it very quickly takes off and people don't do their own research, people don't do their own investigating, they will not watch the content that other people are quoting from, they will just take it at face value. And so I think that's probably how it spread. But however it started, this decision would have ripple effects, not only across TikTok, but also all of social media during that time too. Strangers online began to very confidently leave comments telling people and educating them on why kawaii shouldn't be a term that they're using, stating that it was somehow a protected term, basically trying to say that the term kawaii is just obviously the Japanese word for cute, and therefore if you're not Japanese or East Asian, because for whatever reason, as long as you're Asian, it's still okay to use the terminology, but that's fine, whatever. But if you were not Japanese or East Asian, then instead of saying kawaii, you should just be saying cute. And if you use the term kawaii whilst being Western or European, basically being white or non-Asian, you are doing something offensive. A lot of people who were just into J fashion and who were not Asian or weren't visibly Asian, which is something we'll come on to, also began to get a lot of these comments, now stating that wearing kawaii or Harajuku fashion is cultural appropriation, and is now suddenly people attempting to try and pretend that they are East Asian or Japanese. God forbid you wear a pastel wig or cute clothes, those kids in the comment section were coming for you. And at times, this was also coming from faceless accounts who they themselves were pretending to be Japanese, and were obviously doing so because when you translated their bios or their names, the Japanese text didn't make a lot of grammatical sense. Also, just as a little kind of tidbit, I remember some of the comments that were floating around at the time where people were trying to come up with a creative way of insulting white people who were doing this, and one I remember so distinctly at the forefront of my brain is somebody referring to people as Mayo Monkey. That's a crazy thing to say when you're also leaving comments in defense of trying to stop the abuse of minority groups, but are now trying to find a way of making terms that were used against minority groups as a thing for white. It doesn't work. That was a terrible time, but I remember comments like that floating around all through 2021 and 2022. That was a weirdly common one. I heard that multiple times. That was a weird one. Yeah, that was bad. And again, this was coming from people who were trying to protect this this kind of anonymous group of people who were being affected by Kawaii talk, but they were never also linking any resources to actually help these Asian communities with the struggles that they were going through, not posting any of the GoFundMes for businesses that had been vandalized or destroyed during levels of racism throughout America, the UK, European countries. Again, make it make sense. It didn't make any sense. So many creators had to block accounts or delete comments during this time, all because of rampant misinformation and a misguided desire to do good, to be seen as one of the good ones. One of the good ones. If your allyship falls down to being one of the good ones, you're doing allyship wrong. By the way, just saying. But generally speaking, it was mostly annoying and misinformed, but relatively harmless to start off with. However, just like most things, unfortunately, when it comes to adjacency with kawaii fashion or Asian pop culture, it very quickly devolved into racism, often anti-black racism. You see, a lot of black creators received a disproportionate amount of heat and hate for doing the exact same thing as their white counterparts, wearing Harajuku fashion, wearing different forms of J fashion, or just participating in kawaii talk. Many creators did speak up saying how they had been specifically targeted when it came to this new wave of trying to be culturally appreciative, which is all really wild considering that, again, the black community has had so much impact on not only J fashion, but also different alternative fashion trends globally, consistently. Like historically, black people have always been involved in alternative fashion trends, regardless of whether it's in Asia, the UK, America. Like, they've always given inspiration to other cultures when it comes to fashion, hairstyles, accessories. You see Japanese people walking around in box braids in areas like Shinjuku. Be so real. Be so real. One popular creator at the time called Sincerely Nymphy ended up having their TikTok account banned due to mass harassment and reporting all over their cosplay content. Their videos began to receive waves of comments such as, "You are not Asian," or "You mustn't use the word kawaii," which ended up spiraling into, again, mass harassment and reporting. In a follow-up post to Instagram at this time, they ended up stating that they would no longer use the word kawaii in any of their content, and that they would try to make sure that their content was very clearly separated from any kind of Japanese wording or terminology or culture. But thankfully, a lot of comments under this post were far more leveled and kind. In fact, this whole instance actually became quite viral in Japan. A lot of Japanese people expressed that they love to see kawaii culture reaching places outside of Japan, that they were really excited to see people cosplaying, wearing cute fashion, being cute. Overall, just happy that it was something that other people loved to engage in. And there were even articles written on this instance. A lot of the comments also referenced what I believe was quite a viral YouTube video talking about this. However, from what I can tell, this video is now defunct because all variations of that link that were posted don't seem to work anymore, which is a shame. But again, this did spread, and in fact, it spread quite far in Japan. So far, in fact, that the kawaii queen herself, Kuribayashi Haruka, even made a video on it. And if you've been into J fashion for any length of time, then I'm sure you are familiar with who Kuribayashi is. But for anyone who isn't, she is a community advocate, a long-time decora girl. Like, she is one of the most famous decora girls in the world, as well as being a regular host on the Kawaii Patin channel, doing loads of YouTube makeup tutorials, as well as being a host on NHK's Kawaii International as well. In 2022, on her personal account, Kuribayashi actually addressed the Sincerely Nymphy situation, as well as the whole idea of kawaii being a slur.
Hi, it's Kure-chan. Today, I have something important to tell you guys. It's about kawaii culture, including Harajuku fashion, which I love a lot. Few weeks ago, a non-Japanese girl who likes kawaii culture posted a cosplay video on TikTok. People said this to her: "You mustn't use the word kawaii. You are not Asian. Kawaii is a slur." She was flamed on TikTok with a lot of cool comments just for dressing up kawaii and using the tag. I'm afraid she had a dreadful experience. If you are watching this, please don't be sad, and please don't be too hard on yourself. Stay just the way you are. I'm on your side. Anyone can use kawaii. Feel free to be kawaii.
And of course, many other popular J fashion creators, such as Cybergirl, also came out of the woodwork to talk about the differences between cute and kawaii culture, as well as how this wasn't the behavior that we should see when it comes to allyship, and is also incorrect when it comes to who can engage in kawaii fashion, supporting the message that kawaii is for everyone. Honestly, remembering this happening at the time as somebody who was there at ground zero, it was an absolute shit show. There were so many anonymous accounts running around claiming to be Japanese, harassing people with talking again, trying to come up with nasty creative language to harm people, or actively targeting black creators and using racial slurs towards them. It was a complete mess of a time. They were holding people to higher account for using the term kawaii or referencing Asian snacks as being cute or kawaii themed. They were holding them to higher account than we do our politicians. Like, the cancel culture of that time was insane. Even creators who were Asian but weren't necessarily East Asian were receiving an influx of hate as well, with people assuming that they were just some white person or non-Asian person, again being culturally appropriative. Like, it was insane. I cannot stress to you how insane it was, and it was a shit show. That whole period of time, 2020 to 2022, in the online Western kawaii fashion space was hell. It was hell out here. To be honest, it's kind of ironic considering that many J fashion brands actively tried to open their stores, open their items up to international consumers to help financially support them due to a lack of funds coming in during lockdown. 6% Doki Doki, which is one of the most iconic decor brands that people internationally know and love, ended up doing the Save Our Mothership campaign to try and get people to help financially support them and buy from their store to stop their store closing. And actually, since 2020, I've noticed it's easier than ever to import items from Japan, not even using a proxy service, but actually directly from the websites themselves. ACDC Rag, 6% Doki Doki, Acro Tokyo that covers Dimoire and Travas Tokyo. You've also got stuff like Kawaii International, which covers Liz Lisa. You've got La Foray now doing international ordering, all because they do want Western money and Western support. It's overall a positive for everyone. It's a good thing, guys. It's a good thing. And another thing that took kawaii talk from cute to cringe in the minds of many was the trend of Hello Kitty says ACAB. Because as well as the struggles of Asian communities during this time, black communities in America were still facing an onslaught of racially charged discrimination and violence from the police. This leading to the BLM movement that we all witnessed online during 2020 off the back of George Floyd's murder in May of that year. And again, with everybody being stuck inside, it was easier than ever to feel connected to and learn about these social and political issues just through TikTok. Young people wanted to show their support of this movement and of black communities during a time that was obviously incredibly scary and incredibly unfair, especially for many young people who internationally were more aware of what was happening in the world and wanted to show support for movements such as BLM. And this all first started as blackout days, essentially asking people to not post on designated dates to better allow the circulation and influx of media regarding BLM to have better visibility on social media, something which was at times hard to do due to possible suppression, but also just because of the influx of random content that was otherwise being posted on the day-to-day. And then this gradually evolved into people making political and social posts. And many of these were educational, provided sources or places to donate, and also just allowed the sharing of important information. However, it became somewhat of a kawaii talk adjacent trend to start mashing together kawaii aesthetics or characters with social and political messaging. And when done by indie brands or independent artists, this was mostly positive, often selling the print or artwork as a way to fundraise for verified charities or important community action. However, this aesthetic in the hands of the average TikTok commenter very quickly got watered down with no kind of community gain, and instead became what we know as Hello Kitty says ACAB, the very same one that was infamous and memed on. Instagram posts and TikTok uploads showcasing the very best that PixArt had to offer, flooding social media. Hello Kitty says ACAB, Hello Kitty says eat the rich. All of this became very popular messaging on places like Kawaii Talk. And again, to give some grace and leniency, this was mostly children doing this. Kids who felt pressured either by their peers or by people online to to be vocally, socially, and politically aware. They understandably probably didn't realize that a lot of adult artists who were making similar artwork were doing so to raise money and to raise funds for important outreach. Instead, they likely just assumed that this was another way of raising awareness and being seen to be on the right side of history. And the issue with the post wasn't even so much how they looked or just the corny wording, it was more that it co-opted and oversaturated online spaces and hashtags that were originally being used for important updates, important protection, loads of important communication between people who were going to marches and were involved in organising these events. And with all of these posts up there, people weren't seeing the GoFundMes that needed raising. So instead of people being able to donate to important GoFundMes, they were instead being met with well-meaning, but otherwise useless slop. And it understandably became a point of frustration seeing something that originally started as a way to highlight police brutality towards minority groups turned into another way of making what is a very important message watered down to be aesthetic for your cute social media page. And so in no time at all of these kind of posts very quickly worked to deteriorate the further credibility and wokeness of Kawaii Talk. With Kawaii Talk on its way out and many users feeling confused and conflicted about what terminology they're allowed to use as a non-Japanese person or what fashion they could wear as a non-Japanese person, a new internet aesthetic and trend began to emerge. This being cutecore. And for those who aren't aware, cutecore is very similar to Kawaii Talk, with the only real noticeable difference between the two just being a wider inclusion of non-Asian media, as well as changing the terminology of kawaii back to cute. At one point, people were using the term kawaii core during 2020, so I think that's kind of where cutecore decided to just pick up from. And cutecore did technically exist as a term before 2020. It was originally this kind of niche subgenre of the hardcore music genre, so cute but hardcore, but its real notoriety and visual aesthetic began to emerge in 2020. This in part being thanks to a Tumblr user called Void-chan, who used to share pictures of their kawaii room, which was also mixed with kind of more horror elements, stuff like Silent Hill or horror iconography. Although a lot of people would now argue that those images would count as cute gore rather than just cutecore, but again, apples and oranges here, I won't lie. And so for all of the Kawaii Talk refugees who loved the visual aesthetic and the fashion, but didn't know what to call it anymore or where to go, cutecore became this oasis and evolution of Kawaii Talk for many users. So in my opinion, unlike Kawaii Talk, I would say that cutecore takes more direct inspiration from Heisei Retro. So a bigger emphasis on Y2K Sanrio merchandise, anime figures from older visual novels or Edo Kawaii media, and also different fashion styles that came from the Heisei period. I do have a whole video on Heisei Retros. If you want to know more about that, go check that video out. And cutecore fans are not confined to just doing these snack ASMRs or desk videos. In fact, you can find pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to the cutecore hashtag, building outfit videos all the way to slime rants and drama. But due to a lot of the original Kawaii Talk community moving over to cutecore, there were still quite a lot of unresolved issues when it came to racism and cultural appreciation over appropriation, and in some cases, the fetishization of Japanese pop culture and people. Although it is the vocal minority, there is still a level of anti-black rhetoric that circulates around the cutecore community. There's quite a lot of fat phobia in the cutecore community due to a lot of the popular fashion brands not catering to anywhere near mid sizes, let alone plus sizes. And all of this has gotten to the point where a lot of the online community has a pretty negative opinion of the aesthetic and style. Like, it is quite a well-known thing that cutecore is seen as toxic, which I think again is unfortunate because it is the vocal minority that ruin it for everyone. But I can understand when it comes to obviously racism, fat phobia, people, you know, you shouldn't be doing it. It's kind of hard to forgive that. It's kind of hard to see past that and look at the wider picture of the community, especially when, again, you're young and maybe you've engaged in it and that's what you were faced with. You're not going to have a pretty positive opinion of it, are you? And also, like I mentioned, there's still this weird level of fetishization of Japan or Japanese people as part of cutecore. People classifying simple things such as caramel puddings from Japan as being kawaii or cutecore, when in actuality, you can get the comparable creme caramel from your local Asda for £2. And don't get me wrong, I do get it. I think it's quite easy to aestheticize some of the food that you can even just find in 7-Eleven because of how well packaged and presented it is. Like, I won't lie, a strawberry sando looks way more desirable than a Tesco meal deal. But I feel like it's very easy to over-romanticize what is corner shop food that tends to happen quite a bit. And because cutecore has no real rules or boundaries to define itself as a distinct style, it is far more of an online aesthetic only, as ultimately the media that inspired it predates and already existed under the terms of kawaii or various J-fashion styles. And of course, many older or more experienced J-fashion lovers who come from various subcultures or fashion-based subcultures tend to find that cutecore is actually whitewashing or muddying the water of pre-existing Japanese styles, asking why people feel the need to define everything as cutecore when long-standing styles already exist. Is it cutecore or is it Lolita? Is it cutecore or is it Joji Fuku? Is it cutecore or is it Yume Kawaii? You know? A lot of these things can just be pitched down to being kawaii, even if it doesn't fall under a specific fashion style. Like a lot of people wear kawaii fashion or even dopamine dressing, which is kind of just kawaii fashion usually. Like a lot of people do just wear kind of generic kawaii fashion that maybe doesn't have a distinct style, but is still very clearly inspired by Japanese fashion. But if you are curious about learning more on cutecore, I actually have a full YouTube video dedicated to it. And funnily enough, it was the first video that I uploaded to this channel. So I definitely recommend going to watch that and maybe the Heisei Retro one after this video if you'd like to learn more, although I will say the cutecore video being my first video is not the best. Like, it's still fine, but I'm like very close to the camera in it because I was still learning how to like present on YouTube, but I do cover everything in that video. So if you want to learn more, go check that out. And so I guess where does that leave us now? Well, funnily enough, over the last couple months, I have noticed a yearning for the return of Kawaii talk. People desperately wanting the return of those ASMR videos or the snack unboxings. People starting to feel a recently achieved sense of nostalgia for what was a very confusing, weird time in our lives. And of course, time is a flat circle. And although this specific brand of westernized kawaii media has started to die away, many similar trends and interpretations still remain. Recently, Fruitiger Aero has had a comeback, and I have seen people doing very similar ASMR videos for Fruitiger Aero inspired drinks or food, as well as doing Fruitiger Aero eater bags or Fruitiger Aero makeup. People yearn for that very specific shade of blue and green. Equally, internet aesthetics such as cutecore are still going strong, being a testament and evolution of this pre-existing trend. To be honest, cutecore has definitely become more famous and well known than kawaii talk ever was. And you can argue that a lot of new cutecore fans who are getting into visual novels or edo kawaii media and aesthetics have also helped with the revival of a lot of older anime and kawaii media becoming more mainstream and also making new merchandise. Like, we're now getting Serial Experiments Lane figurines, we're getting new Lucky Star Nendroids, we're getting quite a lot of stuff that honestly I wouldn't expect to have a revival if it wasn't for vocal support and enjoyment online. And for as much as I know Japan doesn't care so much about what Westerners think, they do see trends, and cutecore has definitely helped with that. And of course, people online will never let you down by being as socially dense as ever, with images such as "I prefer my ice crushed" becoming on par with the Hello Kitty says ACAB imagery. Watching random slime rant videos pop up on my For You page with people using characters such as Sayori from DDLC or Alistair from Has Been Hotel doing news coverage of stuff like the Epstein files. I feel like 2026 TikTok right now definitely feels like a version of Goodbye France, Hello Paris. But I guess let me know what you think down below. Did you participate in the kawaii talk trend? Did you follow any kawaii talk influencers such as Nintendo Girl? Did you buy anything inspired by 2020's kawaii talk? And are you now somebody who goes under the cutecore hashtag, or did you end up shifting your focus onto J-fashion styles or cosplay? Did you have an evolution because of kawaii talk? Let me know down below. And of course, as always, I want to give a big thank you to our beautiful Patreon members, with our Otaku tier patrons on screen, and our Oshi tier members being Nina Hopkins, Falky Gone Missing, Lucy, Shy Raw, Harakivo, Danny16, Sweet Misery, Meryl Lyram, The Galmar, Xlace_Zale, Cielo Armonia, Neon Ferris Wheel, Florenciaga, and Corey Kitty. And of course, all of our beautiful Otaku tier patrons as well. You can join me on Patreon for $2.50 a month for downloadable and ad-free viewing of all of my publicly uploaded content, or for the Otaku and Oshi tier patrons, you can also get access to exclusive videos that are only available on Patreon, as well as behind the scenes and additional content. And also early viewing of my YouTube content, all ad-free. Patreon has been a massive support. It's been a massive help when it comes to getting new equipment, when it comes to just boosting my income. I do this as a full-time job. I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm very, very thankful that anyone wants to help support what I do on this channel through Patreon. So if you can do it, if you'd like to, please consider it. But of course, the cheapest and easiest way to support me and what I do is also just by commenting on the video, liking the video, sharing it, saving it, using the hype feature down below, and also hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon beside it to never miss an upload. And now it is time for the end of the video outfit check and some of your amazing fan art. Bye! It is time for the end of the video outfit check and some of your fan art, which I think is on this side. I always point to the wrong side because I don't know which way it's gonna. This side? Maybe? Yeah. Starting off in my head, we've seen them before, but I've had these AliExpress goggles for like 6 years now, I think. I've had them a very long time. They're good, they're sturdy, they do the job. They are more comfortable than the thrifted vintage ones that I got, like the actual leather metal ones, which is why I wear them in my videos, because trying to wear like leather and metal on your head for multiple hours at a time can be quite painful. So these are still going strong. These are gonna outlive me, I fear. Partially because they're made of plastic, but also because I am fragile. Next up around my neck, I have my Vivienne Westwood choker. I also have a Vivienne Westwood safety pin necklace here. And then I also have my angel type crucifix razor blade necklace as well. You see this one quite a lot. I think you've probably seen this one quite a lot. But yeah, I usually wear like just silver jewelry, but obviously it's hit and miss as to which brand it is, but usually it's like angel type, Vivienne Westwood, maybe chrome, all depends. And then this jumper right here I got many years ago, but this is from Travas Tokyo, and again this is one of my favorite jumpers, but sometimes I struggle to find an opportunity to wear it outside because I do feel like the sailor collar can be quite jarring for people, like when you're just in the UK. I don't care what people think, but walking around a city centre with a sailor collar, people will just assume that you're trying to dress up like a schoolgirl rather than just like it's a fun little thing. But I do really love this jumper by Travas Tokyo. They have it in different colours as well. Part of me would love to get like the blue one because I do love a blue, but this is kind of the iconic one that I love to go with. And then underneath it, which you can't really see on video, so I'm having to kind of lift it up, is my Koi Footwear Yami Kawaii skirt from a collection I did with them many years ago. But yeah, I still wear this to this day. I love this skirt. I do think it's a really fun, versatile skirt. I've had this since like 2022, I think is when this came out. It's been quite a while, maybe 22. But yeah, that's the Koi Footwear skirt. I wear it quite a lot, to be honest, with any kind of black and pink outfit. It's a really good one to go with. But yeah, I've had this for a good long while. Like this takes a beating from me, I will say. She has gone through hell and back with me, but she works really well with this outfit. As always, thank you so much for all of the beautiful artwork. If you do want to send any artwork to me, it's best to tag me over on Instagram because that way I can actually see it and I can obviously make sure that I know who has done the artwork. So if you want to share any fan art, please do it over there. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!